I feel compelled for some reason to feel really good. I feel really good.
Come here, baby. Let me take you
Ah.
back to my home world.
You
I
know,
got something to show you.
Scotty's face
Slurp,
was
slurp, slurp.
Scotty's stupor was the best stupor face that they I can't wait to.
Scotty's song was epic.
It was great.
They
That
Yes.
like
was
really,
like,
they really took the
wow.
time to like on that scene as well. They just like
Oh, I
let
know.
it
For
like
like a 23-minute show, there was like 30 seconds of just the Enterprise in space, hearing Scotty chant this like old Celtic chant. I was like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this. This is awesome.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we are focused on Star Trek the Animated Series, Episode 4, the Lorelei Signal, which we also recently watched on the Text Trek Patreon stream a couple weeks ago. 4 weeks. It was like a month ago. It was months ago.
It was in. It was back in
2017.
back in August, right? I think
It was in
August.
2005. Through
Enterprise
clever
was
time
still on the
travel.
air back when we watched it.
When we did that.
Patreon didn't exist in 2005. You know what's trippy to like a young person is if you tell them like Google's only been around like 20 years or something. Like I remember like a world before Google where like like these super common websites, like Facebook or anything. Like if you tell them like, oh yeah, like I remember like when that didn't exist, like that like blows their mind.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
iPhones
true.
are only like 15 years old, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Like, lots
When you
has
really think
changed in
about
a
it.
short amount of time,
Yeah.
but that's how progress in technology works sometimes. It's exponential.
Progress. We've had progress. Anyway, no, enough of that.
Yeah, technological progress. I'll be very
Yeah.
specific.
Okay.
Nice to see you guys in the audience. Welcome, Joel. Welcome, Benjinium. And I think there's a couple other folks watching, so say hi if you like. And let's get to it. What do you guys think of this episode? The episode summary. I forgot. Captain Kirk and crew are lured by space sirens to go, Father. What is it?
I'm just counting your sentences.
I can't do it now. Are lured by space sirens, who are also space vampires, and they start draining their energy and making them old. And the only people that can save them are the women of the Enterprise. And boy, do they come through in an awesome way with Uhura leading the charge. So yeah. There's my episode summary. Oh, and they do. They actually save the day. So yeah.
Good job.
But
That's pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think so. What'd you guys think of this episode? Let's start with you, Ruben, this time, since you are one of the women of Taurus 2 here today.
I've been living my best life since the Enterprise came around. It's been great. I just find myself a man every 27 years and take him home to dad.
The Real Housewives of Taurus too.
Take him home to your dad's corpse, right? Because dad would have been totally like drained. By the way,
I wonder if they really were on the other side of the compound, like they said. Did they just keep all the skeletons and stuff over there? That would have been spooky. But
they make furniture out of it. Like all the stuff that the Enterprise crew was sitting on was like old men.
This is getting dark fast.
Made of old men. It's Soylent Green. This is another favorite. I like this one a lot. This episode had it all for me. It had everything was filled with the time, even with the Scotty weird like taking the time out for the song. I feel like it was still so packed with stuff. I love her just taking over, or taking charge of the ship. People aging on Trek seems to be. I want to kind of count how many episodes do we have now with people who super age really fast. But yeah, I liked it a lot. I had a lot of interesting ideas, a lot of mixing of like mythology, sort of with like sirens, and calling ships to their doom. So I liked it a lot. This is my second. Last week was still my favorite, but I think this is my second favorite episode so far.
Awesome. Yeah, we're getting more aging, or reverse aging later on in the animated series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, going in the opposite
one.
direction. That's in the series finale. the
Counterclock.
counterclock incident.
Yeah.
Guest starring Robert April.
Robert April. Sub Commander, thanks for decloaking for us today. What did you think of this episode? I know you're kind of watching the animated series for the first time in like order, or like like earnestly watching.
Yeah, and most of them for the first. There's another one I don't think I ever saw, though I was always aware of Uhura taking command. Yeah, I liked this one a lot too. I do like Ruben said, that it really touched on this theme that is so prevalent in mythology, folk tales throughout the world, where you have this collection of women that lures men to their doom, whether it's the sirens, whether it's a succubus that kind of steals your sexual energy and renders you useless, or whether it's I thought of the castle of the maidens and King Arthur, that was so brilliantly parodied in Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah, that's right.
But just I think it's a very interesting kind of archetype story that exists in a lot of cultures and a lot of times. So I thought that was neat. And I mean, again, for a cartoon, I mean, it was handled very seriously, and I felt a sense of genuine jeopardy at how these characters were aging and how that was portrayed on the screen. And I loved the aspect of song that was kind of involved in this, to kind of lure people or to activate technology. I thought that was neat. And as we've already said, I did love that moment where Scotty was, it was just so, you don't see that in a cartoon. That's why would they take the time to have that little segment in that's almost like art house kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I liked it. And then seeing Uhura finally take command was great. I think she was supposed to in it was Robert Bloch's original draft for Catspaw, because all the principals are down on the planet in Catspaw, but they end up putting what's the name of the guy who looks like Superman? The Navy Beans guy. It's escaping. Michael Barrier is the actor, but DeSalle. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he was anyway. But in his draft, he was going to have Uhura take command. So it's nice she finally got the chance to. And I like
Nichelle Nichols got to voice like a lot of characters.
Yeah, it was pretty clear there was a lot of Basil Barrett
kind of showing there. Yeah,
Nichelle Nichols. But I also liked just seeing that fight scene. I mean, sort of fight scene between all the female kind of security guards that come down with the. I mean, why can't a woman be a security guard? Because it wasn't like, you think these days, okay, there's lots of action movies with a prominent female character who's doing kind of her whatever badassery, but she's still sort of like surrounded by men, or maybe there's one other one, but it's just kind of neat to see like a whole side of, two sides of women just kind of facing off. And I mean, it wasn't like an intense fight scene or anything like that, but it's just a different sort of visual. You don't get that a lot. So I liked it a lot.
Uhura's smart as heck. She did the fatherly stun him and ask questions later maneuver. And it was like,
she was tough. She's like, we're going to destroy your entire planet.
Yeah, she's like, yeah. She was,
care.
yeah, you don't mess with her. I loved her as captain. I loved her as
would have been awesome for her to have like gone mad and be like, I'm taking this whole ship for myself.
It really makes me wish that we could explore stories. Maybe they will in the novels or whatever, and maybe they already have, but it would be neat to, because we learned in Star Trek Picard that Uhura became captain of the USS Leon Grace. Speaking of Arthurian legends,
like the year after Star Trek 6, right? It's like,
the year after Star Trek 6.
2393 or something, and she's in command.
Yeah, so I'm all for stories like that.
2293.
It'd be neat to do like an animated style story, like continuing the stories of Uhura on the Leon Grace. I think that would be really cool.
Oh man, after Strange New World's over.
Yeah,
spin-off series.
Yeah, and Celia are getting maybe older by then, and so who knows? Yeah,
I don't think she's going to be old enough to look like.
I'm pretty sure she will
1990
be older.
Michelle Nichols, but
yeah, that's true. We need a different actor.
Whatever, she becomes Captain a little earlier. That's it. They look good in Star Trek. They moisturize.
Father, tell us what you thought of this episode. I know you've expressed your thoughts a lot on other streams and stuff, but tell us about
this is a really good one. Lots of like fun, memorable stuff, specifically Uhura having her big take over the ship moment. And it's not just like as a casual like, oh, like the 4 or 5 people that are a higher rank than me are busy, so now I'm just going to assume command. Like, she has to actually like take over like from Scotty. So I love that assertiveness that they give the character. And I think there might be some things in here that that admittedly like age poorly, like maybe like the whole like depiction of like these women are like their whole existence depends on like them having men in their lives, and like or like women being like predatory of men, or trying to like suck the life and energy out of men. That's kind of like an old trope, but I think it's important to like look at the context of okay, like 1973 Saturday morning cartoon. Yes, that was very unprecedented to have Uhura and Chapel kick ass the way that they did, and I think that
And what a
it's
great thing
also
for kids to see, just thinking about that, like realizing that maybe if kids were the primary audience on Saturday
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure if
mornings,
there were
yeah.
like young girls in the audience watching it, they'd be like, oh, this is effing awesome.
Yeah.
And I think there were probably like a lot of that was probably rattling around in the head of Margaret Arman, who wrote this episode. She
Right.
did a couple original series, game series of Triskelion, and was it the Paradise Syndrome, I believe.
Paradise Syndrome. Yeah.
I like both those episodes. Uh, Paradise Syndrome gets a lot of heat sometimes, but I like defending it. It's I understand what people complain
Yeah.
about it, but yeah, I like her writing. I like the other episode she does of the animated series, which we haven't gotten to yet. I think the antagonist, the women on this planet, I think I don't know, they're very like one note, like they're kind of dull after a little bit. It's like that's my only like major criticism of this episode. But yeah, there lots of great stuff, not just for Chapel, but also I mean not just for Uhura, but also like having Chapel around is kind of her number one, kind of helping her along the way. And Chapel gets a lot more cool stuff to do in the animated series because they relied on Majel pretty heavily. It is weird that Nichelle actually voices the ship's
The
computer.
Yeah.
In a scene
Yeah,
here,
that's
there's a
right.
scene here, and she does it in one other time in the future because Majel was busy like giving birth to Rod Roddenberry and couldn't record. But yeah, there's like a scene in this episode where Uhura is talking to the computer and then talking to some I think like Lieutenant Devron or like someone like in security, and it's like Nichelle Nichols talking to Nichelle Nichols and then talking to another Nichelle Nichols voiced character, and all the other women are voiced by Majel. So there's only like two women doing all these voices. So yeah, you do get a sense of the limitations of the show a bit.
I'm really
During that,
surprised
but
James Doohan didn't give it a go to do a female voice. Considering he'd like
yeah,
to
add
do
that
voices, yeah.
to his laundry list of characters he voices in the animated series. But yeah, I think it's always cool watching this episode, knowing that this meant a lot to Nichelle Nichols, who like sometimes she's very vocal, like talking about like her frustrations at times playing Uhura, and the big famous story she tells all the time is the MLK story that we've all heard. And I think the part that like gets overlooked in that story is that when MLK convinced her, Gene Roddenberry convinced her, like, no, it is so important for you to play this character. We need like this visibility of a black woman on the ship, on this show. The part that people always forget is that her response to that was, okay, I'll do it, but why me? Like, why do I have to, why do I have to be the one carrying this burden? Why do I have to be the one to be like the poster child of, of this? Why do I have to like shoulder that weight? That's like a lot of responsibility to put on someone. Like, you have to look good for all of us. And when she tells that story, I didn't really put it together until recently, and after losing her earlier this year, I was really thinking about her a lot, and like yeah, like that felt like a lot of work and a lot of responsibility that she didn't ask for, but other people asked her to do it, and she did it. She played the character for 25 years. But so it's nice to hear her talk about this, where in like other moments, like the Star Trek 3 get in the closet stuff, like those moments that she really loved, like it's like she was rewarded with these little special moments to her here and there. So I think that's that makes it more special for me now when I'm watching this episode, thinking about how much of a good time she had doing the work.
That reminds me of something I read on Memory Alpha or Wikipedia, where when recording this episode, and she says her line, I'm taking command of this ship. She actually said "at last" in the recording. Like it
Really?
didn't, like, yeah, it didn't.
Yeah, I think
make it-
David Gerald, who was around, during the animated series, wrote a couple episodes. I think he's the
He said
one
that. He's the one who said that. Yeah,
who
I think
said that.
so.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's cool that she said that. That's cool to like just think about like her getting all excited in the studio about taking command of the Enterprise. It's who wouldn't get excited, right? Like that's what everyone wants. Everyone's dream. Great opening statements. Thanks for sharing all that, Father. Very cool. Let's get right to the episode. Oh, before we do that, I just want to take a moment on Starfleet Boy to acknowledge that Louise Fletcher passed away. She was the actor who played Kai Wynn, most famously on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Everyone loves to hate Kai Wynn, but she's a very accomplished actress. And she was also very famous for being in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, playing Nurse Ratched. And I saw this her Oscars acceptance speech for the part, and it's very sweet. Everyone should go and check that out. That was very nice. And then also, I just want to say happy 5 years to Star Trek Discovery. Today, Discovery launched or premiered 5 years ago, and to
it's the 24th. Yeah.
yeah, and to launch this new era of Star Trek, and the reason why most of us are here, and we've kind of met each other through like all the resurgence in Star Trek. Not just our love for the classic series, but also the revivals that have been going on for the last 5 years. And I can't believe it's only 5 years, but I also can't believe it's been 5 years. It feels oddly like a long time and then not that long at all, but I guess they completed their first 5 year mission, so that's always a good accomplishment in Star Trek. So
A lot of Star Trek anniversaries in September.
yeah,
Right.
totally.
A lot of shows premiered. Like TNG is the 28th, Enterprise is the 26th, TOS and the animated series are both the 8th.
It
This
makes
episode
sense.
was September 29th, actually.
Yeah.
I believe so. Its anniversary is coming up on like Thursday or something. It'll turn 49 years
49.
old.
Yeah,
Next
totally.
next year we get the big 50th for the animated series.
I like Jill saying, I still think about Nichelle several times a day. That's really nice. Benjamin says, yay, thank you, Disco. And then love this community. I do too. It's a great community. And Discovery relaunched me as a major Trekkie. It's been fun. See, it's so cool. Like a lot of folks have come online and just like kind of started sharing their love of Star Trek in general because of Discovery. And it happened also in 2009. Like I think anytime there's a new kind of like push or launch for Star Trek, it always happens. So yeah. Uh, I like this. I like this shot in the opening when they're getting the in the scene when the signal's coming through, because like you could see there that Uhura's like she looks like she's laying down, like reclining all the way on her chair, which is really weird.
Oh, at the top left. Yeah.
I think she's leaning to look around Kirk.
Yeah, but it's just weird the way it's animated. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like flat, like straight from the top there. But
That's
yeah,
it.
she figures prominently from the beginning, and I just like that they added a few things like the yellow alert. I'm sure they'll reuse this again, but these plates again. But it was cool to see them here. I thought that was new. I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, you'll see that shot several times over the remaining 18 episodes.
Did you recognize that yellow alert sound?
No, I don't
They
know.
used? It's from it may have been from several things, but I recognized it from A Taste of Armageddon. It's the sound when Vendikar attacks when they're down on Eminiar. That kind of
Oh, cool.
different
that's
from
right,
the red
it's a
alert
little
sound.
different. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, they do reuse kind of somewhat a little more obscure sound effects, which I like. I've noticed in a few of these episodes.
Here was the scene where they were showing how the Lorelei signal works. It's a signal that goes out and it puts this vision of these women in your mind. And what was Spock's thing? Like the what kind of drums?
The
Like
marriage
the
drum?
marriage
Wasn't it a
drum.
marriage drum?
So it
I
was
don't remember.
stimulating
Yeah.
like Ponfar, like kind of vibes in there.
I wish that we could have heard what Eric's was imagining. I would have liked a peek into the Adosian brain here.
Do we know that he is a male?
Oh yeah, like we don't know
Fuck,
actually.
Ball
yeah.
gags.
But yeah, I like that Captain Kirk just imagines like a lady smelling a flower.
Well, it's a little bit like what's her name, Ruth, and
A
Shore
little
Leave with the
bit. Oh yeah,
flower,
Oh
yeah.
right?
yeah,
That's right.
yeah. There was a desire from NBC for whatever reason. Like one of the things that they wanted in Star Trek the animated series is they wanted to have like sexy ladies in sexy outfits. I don't know if it's like they were what were things that were popular on the original series that we want to like bring over. You know, what kind of like famous Star Trek icon uh iconic imagery do we want to recreate? But that was like one of the things that they asked for. So this was kind of like a early attempt to like cater to that request from the network.
Interesting. Well, I did notice a very important canonical change in the female officers' uniforms, at least the security guards, is I don't think they're wearing any nylons. I don't think they're wearing stockings. It looks just like their
Oh
skin, like
yeah.
they wear like in the Scant in TNG, and then in the 2009, where they have some of the skirts. I don't know if the newer Treks have. I can't remember what they have, but anyway,
I have a
just
shot
small
of them
observation.
Later. Yeah, it's cool. I have a shot of them later on, but that's interesting.
Yeah, on Strange New Worlds they have like leggings under like full on like yoga pants under the skirts.
So many of these screenshots from the episode are so meme worthy. Like I love
Sulu
Sulu's expression. He's like but the planet cloaks, which we've seen before, also, right? Like
Aldea.
Aldea, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and not seen before, which we see after, I should say, to be correct here. Was there, and then were there any other cloaking planets? I guess there was that one planet that phased in and out of
Well, and there
our
was
time
also
stream
that one planet
on
of
DS9.
people that knocked out the Enterprise crew in the episode Clues in TNG, where
Oh yeah, they were hidden.
Oh, okay, that's right.
that planet
good
was like
episode.
hidden too.
That's a great
That was a
episode.
great episode.
That was cool, and I like this kind of like we've seen this shot of the Enterprise before, but I like that they cut it off slightly to keep that like idea of like, oh, things are not quite right,
It kind of gives you a sense of
going on.
scale of the Enterprise. It feels big when it doesn't all fit in the frame, you know?
That's true. That's a really good point. Yeah, it's true. Here we have the surface of Taurus 2 and the architecture. I love this wild architecture that they do for the anime series. It looks similar to what they did for Vulcan, but just different enough. Like it looks very original for these guys.
Yeah, and it feels like the same universe as the designs of the original series. You know,
Right.
like this is something that exists.
Like you could see this in the live action version, sort of.
Right.
It would sort of fit in.
If they were capable of showing this type of stuff,
Yeah.
that's what it would have looked like. And I think Strange New Worlds often does a good job of like copying this vibe.
And then, holy shit, look at all these women. Beautiful, crazy women that can that can totally ensnare
It's the
you.
precursors to She-Ra.
They kind of look like Targaryens and like
they do. Oh
Game
my
of Thrones. All the platinum hair,
the platinum blonde.
Yeah.
I do like that the animators took the time to make different head pieces, like tiaras for them and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I've never noticed that. Yeah, but they all have like a different tiara, huh?
A different
Slightly,
tiara. And, yeah, and maybe even slightly different hair. It looks like in some of these scenes, which is cool. But the face is it looks like a clone. I thought originally that they were gonna be like a clone race because they did have that, like they all do look very similar to the main person. What was her name again? I can't remember her.
The head female.
Thela?
Yeah.
That's right. It was Thela.
Thela. Okay.
What
Not
you guys
Tila.
think?
Sorry, I just got to keep bringing it back to He-Man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Tila with an H.
Jill says they need them to tell each other apart. It's true. But yeah, every single one of these women are queens or princesses. They wear tiaras. They're some kind of importance, so it's interesting. But yeah, how would you guys have reacted if you went down on an away mission and were confronted by by these ladies here?
And you get to spend 5 blissful days with them before you croak.
Before
wither
you
away.
die.
Yeah, I
I
don't
have to think
know.
about it. I have to think about it, certainly. Yeah, well, I mean, like we said before, I mean, it is certainly an archetype you find in many stories. I mean, it would have, but I agree with Fathery. It would have been nice to maybe have had just 10 seconds of Thela sort of like doubting herself or kind of mentioning a little bit of what was going on behind the scenes rather than sort of finding it all at the end, so that they didn't seem just kind of like
Oh, with like the
generically
little
bad.
exposition moment.
Yeah, just maybe something just to show that they had doubts about what they were doing, like because they weren't like inherently evil. I mean, they were very happy with the solution that they were able to get at the end. So so that might have been nice, but
Right.
um
Yeah,
This
there
but
was
goes
no
back to,
resistance of like, no, screw that. I want to stay immortal, like from some
but
of the other ones.
yeah, I think like the cloud minders and many other examples, like this goes back to the idea that this like any species or group, I should say, that stagnates and doesn't expose themselves to new ideas or anything like that will become this like corrupted, just awful
mm,
version. And they clearly they lean on this technology. They've become reliant on it. We see this a lot in Star Trek. It's very interesting because we even see it in Strange New Worlds with that planet with the guard, the servant. I should the what was that episode called? Fathery.
Well, the one
Um,
where they eat kids or whatever.
yeah, the machine that the machine that basically like sucks the life. Actually, does a Lorelei signal on this poor kid, and sucks the life out of him. But
yeah.
anyways, this idea that like yeah, like um I forget who it was that what the character's name was, where you know he's just like basically like, oh yeah, like we've become corrupted in our like leisure, basically, like it's like
Yeah.
there's like nothing else to do.
It's
And
a
they're
little
Well,
bit
the
like
theme,
Plato's
yeah.
stepchildren too.
that's
Well,
it.
yeah, that
Yeah.
theme of
Harmon.
like us just following some machine to like that's big in Star Trek too. Like people who follow just some machine that takes care of everything for them, and then they kind of like
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a big trope
it's a
in Star
huge
Trek.
yeah. Because the again the Aldea one is the same thing. They can't have kids. The planet's cloaked, and they follow this machine, the creator.
Or the Apple, they can't have
Oh,
kids. They
yeah.
follow a machine.
That's
Actually, yeah, not saying that about the kids is that it reminds me of Wink of an
interesting.
Eye, where like they accelerate Captain Kirk, and there, when they
Hmm.
get injured, the guys age and they burn up. I mean, it's not quite the same as aging,
Oh
but
yeah, but like they're kind of
Cap,
like, yeah, like the men are kind of victimized by the
yeah, using them for their
sexy ladies,
virile life force
Or like
kind of
Angel
thing.
One.
Yeah,
cute blonde woman antagonist.
yeah,
Yeah, there's some crossover similarity there.
Angel One's my
definitely.
favorite matriarchal planet.
Angel One is not a good episode. I gave
Seeing
TNG
Riker in
some
that
credit
outfit
earlier, but-
makes it all worth it.
Hey, Father, it's a good thing you didn't agree to wear that outfit when you got to 1,000 subscribers. Which reminds us, though, that Father has agreed to sing "Faith of the Heart" on his channel if he reaches 1,000 subscribers. They're at about 930 some odd subscribers right now, so it's
I'm
very
gonna
possible.
unsubscribe.
And no, don't unsubscribe.
Just so I don't have to hear that song again.
Don't do it. No, no, no. This can't go that direction.
I'm kidding.
But honestly, like as a YouTube creator, it doesn't. Oh, sorry about this background sound. The Enterprise engines sometimes they grind over here.
yeah,
But
Starfleet ships are noisy.
but we do appreciate it when you all subscribe. And if it's not your bag, you can subscribe and just put not set no notifications, and it means the world to us if you subscribe. It might not mean that much if you're subscribed and you don't listen to us, but hopefully y'all are listening
Smash
to us.
that like button, yo.
Oh yeah, and smash the like buttons, all those things that I forget to do. I'm a bad YouTuber, but here the women have no problem at all roofing the men here,
Hmm.
because they get Spock and Bones, and whatever that drink knocks them out. They also do like a little entertainment show, which I thought was interesting. And she like one of them just throws like a ball at Spock, and that's what like knocks him out. That was kind of a weird scene, but it was like interesting as well. What do you
Yeah.
guys think about this whole sequence?
Well, I like that now we have canonical proof that Dr. McCoy has been made a full commander based on his sleeve braids here. I'm sure it was just an error, but he's supposed to have a dashed. He's supposed to be a lieutenant commander, but anyway, getting back to the scene, yeah, I liked it though. I did think that ball thing was weird. Don't they describe it as like a fruit or something that they throw at him? I can't remember, but I mean, it looks more like a. That's not the thing, right? That crystal she's holding there. That's
No,
not what they
it's
throw at
something
him.
else. Yeah, it
That
has
was part
it
of
has
the.
like a geometric shape to it
Yeah,
too.
she's
The
just
thing,
showing off her crystal balancing.
Yeah,
There, I
Right.
guess it's like
It's
the biggest
talent
crystal.
show.
rhythmic gymnastics, I
This
guess.
is the biggest crystal meth rock on the planet.
I don't think they were on meth because like these dudes are all like they're like pretty kind of like
Definitely
mellow
a downer, not an upper.
yeah,
Yeah, it's some definitely some kind of downer going on there. Um, I love the plate spinning with giant gems. Oh yeah, and they are giant.
Oh,
I wonder
yeah,
if those
Joel
are
knows what's
dilithium
up.
crystals. Imagine like this whole
It is
time.
red.
Yeah, it is red. Imagine this whole time this planet's got like a ton of dilithium on it, and no one
No one
ever
bothered to search.
to check. It's like that would be really funny. But yeah, that's. But then we find out the next day they have aged quite a bit, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. They basically escape. They have to escape from
From the
from these.
geriatric facility.
It's like yeah, exactly. But I like the animated series version of aging of these characters aged. I thought it was pretty cool. I like the way that
Just
they
draw
were
some wrinkle lines.
yeah, but it looks good. It's kind of like a lot better than the makeup sometimes,
But
which
the
has a
body
tendency-
language too, they're kind of like
Yeah.
hunched over.
Yeah. No gray hair though. No gray hair.
Yeah, it's odd they didn't color the hair different. I guess that would have been more expensive or
They
time
had
consuming.
they had some Rogaine or that spray on hair there at the place because the girls don't like gray hair.
Oh, it should have been gray hair. That's a really good point. Oh, I forgot to mention this. The technology that they have is called the
Opto-Odd.
Opto-Odd. So like the optical audio device or something like that, I guess, or opto. I don't know. It was really interesting, but I like the idea of like using sound as a way to like command computers and machines.
Kind of ties like the whole like siren song motif.
Right.
I mean, like
Right,
the
exactly.
word siren, we now use to describe things that make loud noises. So
Yeah, that's a good point. It used to be for the sirens call there. Geez, those engines are really grinding.
yeah.
I really-
Speaking of noises,
You're pushing the ship too hard there.
take it easy, Scotty.
I
The
don't know
smoothie
what's
cannot take it.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I thought they looked kind of, yeah, it was disturbing seeing them aged like that. I mean, somehow even more disturbing than the actual actors in makeup in the Deadly Years. But yeah, they really do look like they're on death's door.
Oh,
heading there.
I'm totally calling these ladies Las Sirenas from now on. That's really
Oh yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
Star Trek Picard tie-in.
Joanne in the audience says, "True confession, I never noticed the rank stripes until I discovered Starfleet Boy and Fathery. I thought the stripes were random." That is funny. I never noticed the rank stripes before Fathery. He really pays attention to those ranks.
Well, that's like a real life Navy thing. You have
No, I know.
You
But I
have
never
rank
noticed
braids.
it either.
Um,
But now I look at them everywhere, and I still don't understand quite like what makes them, like certain ranks. I'm like, oh, whatever. Like I can't remember if that's lieutenant or if that's like captain or commander.
two
Gotcha.
solid and one broken as a captain. 2 solid as a commander. 1 solid and 1 broken as a lieutenant commander. Then one
solid as
one
lieutenant.
solid as a lieutenant.
You never
really
see one
appreciate-
dashed on TOS, although.
I really
Yeah, but-
appreciate Star Trek: The Next Generation for simplifying it and creating
The pip.
rank pips instead, because for some reason my brain processes that a lot easier. But
It's
but
sort
it
of the
does-
same. I mean, the solid pip is like a
Right.
a solid stripe anyway. But yeah,
There's
Right.
intelligence to the way they
TNG
did
is
it.
actually a little bit more military because usually in the military the stripes on your sleeves are how many years you've served, not
that
your
right?
rank. Your
Oh.
ranks are usually on your collars.
Well, in the Navy, they have rink braids on their wrists, like in the original series, or at least in the British Navy and the American Navy. I don't know how other navies do it, but
Would the British Navy be called the Imperial Navy?
it's called the Royal Navy.
The Royal Navy. Oh, sorry, I turned them into the Empire.
Yeah,
Those days are over.
They're supposed to give all that up.
Yeah, we took that job over for them.
Yeah.
I love this scene so much, but I also like that Chapel's like, "What the heck are you doing?" She's like, "I'm taking command of this shit."
Yeah. Yeah, and now Chapel is chief medical officer. It's like,
Oh, that's
reminds me of
right.
some Simpsons where they're in a boat, and Homer says, "I call president," and Burns says, "Vice president." And it's just like they're taking command. But yeah.
And here's where they come to Vila and ask like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're basically you're gonna be our prisoners." And so they have
You're
to
gonna be our
escape.
mans.
Our man, yeah. And then here's this guy. Look at his face. Look at how they animated his face. I just love this. So he's just like
It's like he's as drunk as he
Totally
wasn't by
useless.
any other name, right?
that face you make when
more geriatrics, I guess. You could call it.
Yeah, look at that back pain.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Call AARP.
They should have like a lifelock, like a thing. Scotty's goofy song is the most surreal thing in the series. I have to agree. Like in all of Star
It's very
Trek.
surreal, that shot of the Enterprise slowly creeping
It
by.
totally is. Yeah. I'm going to try to make that my ringtone now.
Anyways, they do manage to escape, and they end up hiding out in this weird urn that I'm not really sure. It looks...
it's literally the pottery
I
barn.
don't know, man. It looks like the planet's butthole.
That's your one for today, Ruben.
That was totally clean.
It has butt bugs. I hope it doesn't have butt bugs. But no, I'm teasing Ruben. There's it is very weird, that vase. It's like organic. It does look like it is growing out of the planet instead.
And those trees look like the truffula trees from the Lorax, kind of.
Oh, I was just thinking of Dr. Seuss actually, like when you said that. Yeah, you're right.
I love these painted backgrounds.
Yeah, they are very cool. The topiaries are amazing. Like the planet's foliage is cool. They do manage to hide out, and here's when they start realizing, oh, like when the women are in proximity, the bands glow. And so Spock decides that since he's Vulcan, and of course these things take longer to take a toll on him, that he volunteers to go and basically get word to Enterprise that they need to be rescued. So I also think it's funny that they don't have the technology to locate when they hide in the urn. Like that's like really funny that
they can see it visually, but not know where it is.
They don't know where it is. Like it takes her a while later on to figure it out. Spock is successful, and we get the female security team. The
red skirts, as I like to
red
call them.
skirts.
Instead of red shirts, they're red
like
skirts.
And the red skirts view down, and Uhura's like,
best moment of the episode.
This is the best moment. It's true. And Phaser's on stun.
Oh, they've got the wrong department inside their Delta. Look at that.
Oh yeah,
the
she's
science
a science
department.
officer.
But they should have the little
those are
spiral.
all over the place.
Yeah, God.
The animated series.
Yeah, it's true.
And there were no fooling. Just stun them, girls.
Yeah, that's one of my big frustrations in Star Trek. Is there's so many situations where it's like you can just stun this person. Anytime it's like, I'm not the shapeshifter, it's this other person. Okay, just stun both of them. Or anytime like someone is like no, like if you don't listen to me, like I'll pull the trigger on this person, like just stun that person, like you can, if you ever need to like hit the pause button on someone and be like, okay, we just need to stop them now, take them out of play, and figure it out later. Yeah, just go ahead and stun, just go ahead and shoot.
Mm.
Like
It's good.
they always forget that in Star Trek, but I love like moments like this, or like they remember.
It's good
Stun.
detail on that phaser, though. Look at
Oh
that. They
yeah,
really got
totally.
every preserved with every detail. Yeah.
Yeah. Stun
Yeah.
first, ask questions later.
Are you gonna tell me where my people are? No. Okay, I'm stunning you so I can go look for them.
It's so great. Do, I noticed that like the badges in this era or in this time are kind of like tilted pretty consistently.
That's
like
not intentional, I don't think.
oh, but it's consistent. Like Kirk has
It's
it like
not
that.
consistent. It's
Oh, okay.
whenever they're like a lot of angles, it's standing straight up.
Starfleet boys having tea delivered, and Starfleet mom doesn't like to be on camera, so that's why I muted
fair
myself
enough.
there for a second. But cheers, gentlemen. Here's my afternoon tea, right on time. Joel in the audience is asking, they were science officers. They changed to red for the security mission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that could be a good possibility, and that's true. Red shirts die, red skirts thrive. Oh, I like that. That's very cool.
That's right. Not a single casualty.
Jill 47 says there is cross training. Medical has a huge number of supplemental medics, for example, that are called in an emergency. They had that in Arena and Strange New Worlds. That's a good point, and we see that illustrated because of Pike, and we see that he at least when they're cadets, they all
It's not a Pike thing. That's like a standard cadet
Starfleet,
training
fine.
thing.
I'm just saying it feels like Pike likes it. I don't know. Someone mentions in one of the episodes like Captain likes to have us do rotations or something like that. I'll have to go back and see what I'm
They're
remembering.
just missing a redhead, then it would be complete. They've got like all the all the
Different
shades.
shades of hair.
Look at Spock. Gosh, that's scary.
You know, if the hair was gray, that would not look unlike Leonard Nimoy the last few years he was around.
Yeah,
totally
you're not
true.
wrong.
I mean, he was a lifelong smoker, so that really that wrinkles up your face.
Spock was a lifelong smoker.
No, Nimoy was.
Not lifelong though. He quit for 30 years before he died.
Oh
But,
yeah, COPD can
But still, yeah. But
yeah.
he had
really terrible. But yeah, here we have a cool moment where he reaches out telepathically to Nurse Chapel, and I really like this moment. It kind of like now that we're seeing like that they're developing their friendship in Strange New Worlds, like it's kind of cool to see this like moment where he would reach out to her. Maybe they practice.
I
Vulcan
really
stuff.
appreciate all the Uhura Chapel moments in the original series and the animated series a lot more now because of Strange New Worlds kind of showing us those characters when they were younger.
Yeah, totally. And it's gonna be interesting. Like now we see like again it like you said, it colors. I feel like it like makes you appreciate the characters more now. It's pretty neat. I like that future generations are gonna just have like these really like rich understandings of these characters, and their stories and like their adventures throughout Star Trek. I like that they're being elevated as well. Excuse me, in modern Star Trek, so it's pretty cool. Joel says, I always imagine those people who are historians on the Enterprise mostly do security or something else as duties. Poor historians having to do security detail. They're just like, I just want a history. I just want a history.
Sorry, go find that vampire cloud.
What's the name of the woman in Space Seed?
Marla
MacGyver's.
MacGyver's.
Yeah, they had
MacGyver's.
her in a red uniform. So.
Yeah,
That's
they were
right.
going to do her in blue though, but when they cast Madeline LaRue, they liked her red hair and they decided it would look better with red. No, really, yeah, they were going to have her in blue, but
here we have we learn the strange history of these people when they came to this planet. They were originally like any humanoids, and then they noticed the men were getting drained of their life, but the women developed had a gland or developed a gland that helped them combat the effects, and actually then they learned how to drain the life force from others. So yeah, very interesting. She confesses all to Uhura. I love Uhura's look in this screenshot where it's like totally like she totally hates her. Like it's like
Girl, you better give me my man's back.
basically that's what it's like, but reverentially, Ruben, not objectifyingly. She wants her men reverentially. um but yeah, what did you guys think of all this stuff?
It's weird, but
It's weird. That's a good way of
Yeah,
putting it.
you're right. It didn't quite hang together in terms of well, like I don't know, just developing this gland that kind of makes them sort of immune, but not really because they still have to get men every exactly 27 point whatever years. And I
yeah.
don't know, wouldn't they have been
bit,
sort of upset about this rather than so? I don't know. But
bit
anyway,
contrived to create their space sirens that they wanted for the
yeah,
story. But
yeah.
Well, I think that's the limitation of the time of this kind of show. Where if this episode had an hour like the regular
Mm,
TOS, it
they
might have
could have.
actually been pretty good. You could have fleshed out. You could have had the conflict between the women, some of them wanting to stay immortal, some of them not. Maybe even them tempting Uhura to be there and being like, "Hey, what's up, girl? You can join us and become immortal too." Like that
Look,
kind of thing. Like I think this episode is the opposite of what we used to say about TOS all the time, where it's
right.
like this would have benefited from actually being longer and having a little bit more in depth on the things, and then less kind of contrivances to just get the episode done.
I
Meanwhile,
do
it's
really respect how dumb they made Kirk and Spock and Scotty all behave. And it's not. I mean, yeah, like Spock does kind of come through in the clutch a little bit, but really, truly, like the savior of the episode is undeniably Uhura, alongside the chapel and the women's security team. So that it's hard to imagine them doing that on the original series. It's hard to imagine them
mhm,
ever letting we're not going to have Kirk or Spock be the hero of the story. It's going to be Uhura.
Right.
yeah. I wasn't expecting her to shoot that thing. I thought they would go in with ladders or something like that. But like, nope, let's just she's a little trigger happy, Uhura. But it
I'm
works. Yeah,
telling you, she's
break that
finally like,
thing up and
"Yeehaw! It's my chance."
yeah. I'm kind of wondering actually, I don't think ever in the original series you have a female Starfleet officer fire a phaser. I don't think
Oh
that
wow, that's
does that
interesting.
ever happen? I mean, I know
I don't
Yeoman
know.
Landon does some butt kicking in the
Let me
apple,
see.
but I don't know if you ever see a female fire and then in Operation Annihilate, that one yeoman is kind of like cowering in the back while Kirk and Spock shoot the Denovans. I don't think
Yeah, in A Taste of Armageddon, do we see her hold a phaser at one point? Uh,
the yeoman Tamara, the
Tamara,
Asian
yeah,
lady. I
yeah.
don't think so. Maybe she holds one, but
I think
Uhura's
I think
holding
she
a
might.
phaser in
I don't
the
think they
Mirror
ever fire one.
Universe. In Mirror Mirror, Uhura's holding a phaser. I
She's
don't know if
holding.
she.
Yeah, good point.
Okay.
That's right. Or and so is Marlena.
Yeah,
Or
so
maybe
this
it.
might be the first phaser shot by a woman in all of Star Trek.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Wow.
Got 3 years of button pushing to catch up on here, so
That's pretty funny. But yeah, they look badass. I feel like yeah, it's a pretty cool troop over here, and they save the day. It's true. It's really cool. I like that it's raining too. By the way, it's always neat
yeah.
when you have atmospherics and stuff like that in animation. I think they did a good job with the rain here too. I like the way that it all looked, this whole scene.
I was gonna say that previous slide looks like, senior swim at the YMCA.
It's Cocoon. It was the original Cocoon.
Oh,
It's
yeah, there you go.
It was the inspiration for Cocoon.
It's terrible that they were gonna drown in there too.
Oh, what a way to go. Yeah, it's my greatest fear.
Who was the young escort, the security escort? Unnamed character, right?
So, like, I feel like I had started with a D. I mean, it wasn't any name I recognized, like
Yeah, I don't think he's
Darren
recurring.
Darren or David or
Oh,
Dunsel.
okay. He was my
Something.
episode. No surprise, he was my episode husband for the week. So I was glad that he didn't die. He actually survived this episode.
Well, and now he's as handsome as ever.
Exactly. They restored my husband back to his youthful good looks.
Good old transporters.
Carver, Lieutenant Carver.
Carver.
Lieutenant
Okay.
Carver. Okay,
What do I
Good
know?
old transporters turning people young. Since
Well, that was
23,
cool.
Whatever.
Also using the transporters in this way, which we see used again in the next duration.
Unnatural selection, right?
yeah,
In
exactly.
Season 2 of TNG.
Hmm, right.
The
Yeah, the
episode that
idea
made
that-
Diane Moldor swear she would never do science fiction again because she hated being in the old makeup
And then they-
prosthetics.
Enough already.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor thing. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
And just to confirm, this is the only appearance of Lieutenant Carver, so never to be seen again.
That's because we.
But
went off
there's plenty of other random crew members that James Doohan will voice other than Carver. So
let's see here. Fun conversation going on. Hey, Uncle Arthur, nice to see you in the audience there. And our friend Aaron Harvey's here too, who wrote the book on the animated series, which we highly recommend you guys go check out if you don't have a copy of it. I got to get my copy back from my uncle. I'm so upset that I don't have it for the show, but Father has his copy, so it's pretty cool. You can show it off in a future episode. I don't want to make you get up off your seat again, Fathery. But yeah, this was cool. I loved that they used the transporter this way, and I guess this is also a first, right? Is this the first time they use the transporter to do this
to
maneuver?
de-age somebody.
Yeah, to de-age someone in Star Trek.
Yeah. I kind of hate that because it's like, why doesn't just everyone do this so that you can like just
Kind of
look
opens a
younger?
can of worms. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's probably like a case to be made that maybe there are some people doing this in Star Trek, and we don't know. There's probably like a safety protocol, but like there's nothing stopping.
I don't
folks
know. I
from
watched
doing it.
I watched the trailer for Picard season 3, and they don't. Not saying those people look bad. I've said like they don't look like they do transporter de-aging very often.
And I bet there's like something where it only works in, like it doesn't work really well, so like they had nothing else to lose here, so that's why they did it. And the same with like Dr. Pulaski,
Yeah, I
because
mean, if it's your only choice.
yeah, if it's your only choice, because
If it's that or die, and then that might kill you too.
maybe it
Well,
only
you know,
has like a 80% success rate, and they were lucky, or something like that.
There's
Say
ads
it
in
was
the
only
Federation.
There's only
Use our
50%
transporters,
brilliance.
90% success
Oh,
rate when you're
so-
trying to de-age yourself.
So Diane Duane, well, it would make sense if she was a fan of this episode, because
Yeah,
Diane
so-
Duane uses Carver in some of the material that she wrote, a comic book
cool.
and a novel. That's neat.
Also, let's see. Ferengis offer black market transporter de-aging. That would be a Ferengi move. Oh my god, that's such a Quark episode of DS9 too.
I
he-
wouldn't go to the Ferengi black market for any medical procedure. Just that there's red flags all over that.
You would have to erase decades of your life to use an older pattern. Oh, that's a good point. Like, wonder if like brain patterns get mixed up too, and that's another reason why you shouldn't.
Oh yeah,
They
they kind
got
of talk about it
aged.
like it's just like the DNA is what they use, but yeah, I mean, that would make sense of why they would do it often, because like in both cases that's like we're only reverting you back to like a couple of days ago,
Right.
so it would only work in instances of accelerated aging.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I was almost hoping that they wouldn't have a memory of what happened by doing that. By if you restored them to it's like when you're playing a game and you're an old computer game and you're saving your progress, and like, oh, I got killed, so I got to go back. But you don't have the stuff that you got in between the last save and when you got killed. So would it have changed their memories? But they didn't do that.
And it
Well,
looks like
that's how it
Aaron's
worked in the
confirming
book.
in the book, yeah.
Aaron's. So Alan Dean
Ah.
Foster wrote
Right.
adaptations of these animated series episodes, and I think sometimes he might have had little improvements or something like that in there.
It reminded me a little bit of Relics and Scotty like doing whatever he did with pattern buffer and to just keep his pattern going forever. I mean, he wasn't obviously de-aging himself, but yeah, it is a little bit. It does open up some, too many tempting possibilities. I think when you can use the transporter this way to, then it becomes like, why don't they use the phasers on stun? Well, why don't you use the transporter to go back before you had this deadly disease? So, whatever.
Yeah, I just assume there's like a risk factor that's too great to do it all,
Yeah.
consistently or whatever. But so yeah, the women keep their promise and destroy the Lorelei signal, and then Venus says that she's looking forward to it, learning and like having all these like new experiences and a much better future than immortality. But yeah, so so the episode ends typical Star Trek fashion, with a nice message there, a really strong, powerful message about aging and stuff like that. And I really liked this episode. I was very pleased with it. I've seen it a lot of times in recent years, so I feel like I've seen this episode the most of the animated series, just because we did that rewatch, and I forget we watched it another time for some reason. I think we did a watch along on of course TOS Saturday night did it like maybe a year or two ago or something like that. They paired it up, so yeah, that's where I remember drunk texting or drunk tweeting about it.
That's the best.
But yeah, that was another fun episode of the anime series, which it's a solid. I love this series. It's solid. I'm gonna give this episode a 9, just because it had some things that didn't age very well for me, and like maybe I think I would have liked more Uhura and Chapel, a little bit more time with them, because it was such an interesting part of the story. And and I do agree with you guys that the women of Taurus 2 were pretty one note, no pun intended. They only had that one note that
yeah,
that's
one note. Yeah, and maybe if it was a longer episode, they could have fleshed them out a little bit more. But yeah, that's really my only criticism about this episode.
Yeah.
I overall am a fan of it.
Ruben, still draining. Final thoughts and a rating.
Yeah, I agree with Father. I mean, my only real complaint is that I would. I mean, my only real complaint is that I wish it were longer. So it's not really a complaint. I mean, it was a cool idea, fun episode. It moved along really well. Got to see Uhura and the ladies of the ship take over and take charge for once, which was cool. I didn't realize how many aging tropes there are in Trek, but that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty fun. And as far as my rating, I give it 5 days to die. Sign me up. Take me to Tila.
Tila.
Yeah, sorry, Tila. Tila too. I'll take Tila too. At least you won't drain me. You're muted.
Oh.
I was saying Sub Commander. What about you?
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything more to add, but I enjoy this. I mean, I got to say, like for the first 4 episodes, I've really enjoyed every one. I mean, probably the first one is the one I liked the least, and I still like that one pretty well. Yeah, for what it is, I'm quite enjoying this show. So, yeah, I guess I'll like how you justified your choice with a 9 out of 10. So I'll go with that too. Yep.
And Fathery.
Yeah, I think I've said everything I have to say on this. Just to sum it up in a final sentence, it would just be a great to see Uhura in command, and I as always appreciate Margaret Arman's writing. I would rank this 27.346 star years out of Scotty's Welsh song. I don't know.
Very nice, very nice. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. Audience, let us know what you give this episode. I think Geek Filter says I give it 8 out of 10 Proto Shiras. Yes,
There you
right.
go.
Yeah.
So
Is
true.
that going to be our theme for all of the animated series?
It's really
streams
hard
we
not
do?
to make those associations.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
He-Man.
And a 9 from Jill. Today we're not going to do our Star Trek Lower Decks discussion tomorrow at 1. We're doing it today at 7:30 p.m. and I'll be joined by Braxton.
There's no Trek Central stream tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. That's fine. I already scheduled it, and we might have an old friend from across the pond join us tonight as well. So that'll be fun at 7:30 p.m. We're gonna be talking about Lower Decks, and then tomorrow there's no Trek Central stream, but maybe Father and I could do some crazy stuff. I don't know. We'll talk. We'll see later in the afternoon on Sunday. I don't know, Father, if you're down for crazy stuff.
You should sing Scotty's song for 3 hours.
That's what we should do.
Okay.
Just over and over.
We should totally do that.
Aaron, do you have like the lyrics to that song? Do you know where we could find like the
you can find
lyrics
that
like
online,
written?
I'm sure, easily.
Do you know what it's called? What was the song called?
Yeah. Aaron might know. Let us know if you know that. That'd be fun to do something with that.
Ooh, Aaron, you should totally come on. We're dying to have you on our show, and I don't want to put you on blast here in public, so that's all I'll say. But but what's going on over in Ruben? Did you already say what's going on in your world, or did I have
No,
a
just
loop?
follow me at R Martian. I post interviews with film and TV industry professionals and other funny quips, and that's it. Anything I do, I'll put on Twitter. Excuse me.
So follow R Martian on Twitter. Subcommander.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter at Subcommander T, at Mr. Leslie TOS. And tonight for TOS Saturday night, they are doing Bread and Circuses. So tune in for that and live tweet along with us if you're interested. Starts at midnight Eastern Standard Time.
Right on.
Yeah, bring your gladius and your skirt,
right.
I guess.
Yeah.
I really want that shirt with the
chains, the little
it's very cool.
those
I've
are
seen
good.
some folks wearing it, and it's pretty cool.
Oh,
Joanne
okay.
Robertson says 4 red skirts, but that's 4 red skirts out of 5, so it's pretty high rating. Slow down the Enterprise and slow down the Enterprise and have it cross the screen in 2 hours. That's what we should do. That's 100%.
Just have like our drunken voices singing as like
while
this,
the Enterprise
this ship just slowly creeps across.
It's like those videos that have like 12 hours of Enterprise ambient sound or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those are great.
You know,
Drinking
those are
songs.
good for the YouTube algorithms because you get like high watch times from those.
Audience, do you
Okay.
want a Starfleet Boy After Dark episode of Father and I and others doing drinking songs while the Enterprise slowly inches across?
There's a
the
lot of
screen?
drinking songs in Star Trek, though, right? Because there's a lot of Klingon songs.
Yeah.
Like O'Brien loves to have.
Yeah, we
sing
can
I
all
will
those
gladly
drinking songs,
sing Melota.
Picard does that one, or the duplicate of Picard.
Come cheer up, my lads.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the one.
What is the
Yeah, he
alien
was singing
guy?
some French song with Robert when they
Oh,
got drunk
yeah.
after their mud fight.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of drinking. We need to do we could do like a whole album of Star Trek drinking songs, and then set
Sung
up a booth
badly.
at conventions and see if people would buy CDs from us.
Aaron says Welsh ballad. Yr hyffen millen. I think for my cat walked across the keyboard.
Yeah, Welsh language is interesting to say the least. But yeah, okay.
I thought it was Celtic for Faith of the Heart.
Faith of the Heart is now a drinking song. Fathery, tell us what's going on
you
on
should
Text
be
Track.
drunk if you're listening to it.
Sure. Well, you can check out the Text Trek live show every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central on the YouTubes. But currently, we are discussing each and every episode of Lower Decks with a deep dive discussion. And that's been a lot of fun. We just did this week's episode of Reflections. I'm very excited about next week because we get to go back to Deep Space Nine on Lower Decks. So really looking forward to that. And later in the year, we'll be doing Prodigy, and then on hiatus at around the first of the year when we're waiting on Picard to get back in February. We're going to be discussing Deep Space Nine, where I'm watching it for the first time. My co-host Dave is watching it for the other way around. I'm watching it for the 47th time. My co-host Dave is watching it for the first time. So we're going to try to knock out season 6 and 7 before Picard gets here, and of course Strange New Worlds, Discovery, all the new shows when they're out. So yeah, and you can also listen to our show wherever you get your podcasts.
Excellent. All right, folks, thank you for joining us, audience. As always, we really appreciate it. Live long and prosper, and we will see you next